Something felt different the moment this episode began, not loud, not explosive, just heavy. Like the air itself knew what was coming next. Episode 5 doesn't rush you into chaos. It pulls you in slowly, then refuses to let go. We are left right where we feared the most, face to face with death in New Vegas. The Nightclaw stands between survival and extinction, and for the first time, it's not just a monster in the shadows. It's a test of fear, a test of loyalty, and most importantly, a test of who Lucy is becoming. The episode opens with pure tension. The ghoul is frozen, and that alone tells you everything. This is not just another creature, this is something that broke him once before. You can see it in his eyes, the way his confidence disappears. For someone who has survived the worst parts of the wasteland, fear like this doesn't come easy. And standing next to him is Lucy, but not the Lucy we met at the start of the series. This Lucy is sharper, faster, reckless. The Buffout hasn't just healed her body. It has stripped away her hesitation. Fear doesn't slow her down anymore, and that's both powerful and terrifying. What makes this moment so intense is the role reversal. Before, the ghoul was always the protector, the experienced one, the one who knew how to survive, but now, he's the weak link, and Lucy knows it. She sees his hands shaking, she hears his breath, and without saying much, she steps forward. That silent decision tells us everything about where her character is heading. She is no longer just surviving the wasteland. She's adapting to it. The fight with the Nightclaw is brutal, fast, and unforgiving. There is no heroic music, no clean victory. Every second feels earned. Lucy doesn't win because she's stronger. She wins because she refuses to stop. Pain doesn't slow her, fear doesn't control her. And when the moment comes where the ghoul is about to be finished, it's Lucy who makes the choice that changes everything. She saves him. Not because she has to, but because she wants to, because somewhere inside all this violence, that sense of goodness still exists. But this act isn't clean, it isn't simple. Saving the ghoul comes at a cost. You can see it in Lucy's face afterward, the adrenaline, the hunger for action, the way she doesn't fully come back down. This is where the episode quietly asks a dangerous question. What happens when survival starts to feel good? Lucy didn't just save a life. She crossed another line, and once lines start disappearing in the wasteland, there's no easy way back. New Vegas finally opens itself up after the fight, and the contrast is almost disturbing. Lights, music, people trying to pretend the world never ended. But now Lucy walks into this place carrying blood, addiction, and a new version of herself. And the ghoul knows it. He doesn't say it, but he sees that the girl he's traveling with is changing faster than he expected, maybe faster than she can control. And just when you think this episode is only about survival and monsters, it reminds you of something darker: choices. Because saving someone doesn't always make you a hero. Sometimes it just pushes you closer to becoming something else entirely. While Lucy and the ghoul are dealing with the consequences of survival in New Vegas, the episode quietly shifts its weight toward another ticking time bomb, Maximus. And honestly, this is where episode 5 becomes even more unsettling, because with Maximus, the danger isn't just outside, it's inside his head. Every decision he makes feels like it could either turn him into a hero or completely destroy him. We see Maximus on the move, but he is not free, not really. Even after escaping the Brotherhood with the cold fusion, you can feel their shadow following him everywhere. The armor that once gave him power now feels like a target on his back. Every step he takes is filled with paranoia. He knows they will not forgive him, he knows they will not stop. And that pressure starts shaping his behavior in very dangerous ways. What stands out the most in this episode is how Maximus begins to change. Earlier in the series, he hesitated, he questioned himself, he doubted whether he deserved power at all. But episode 5 shows us someone who is slowly learning that hesitation can get you killed. There is a sharpness to him now, a focus. He is no longer reacting, he is planning. And that is both impressive and frightening. At the same time, guilt eats away at him. The cold fusion isn't just a powerful object, it's a reminder of every choice he made to get it. The lies, the deaths, the betrayals. Maximus doesn't talk about it much, but you can see it in his silence. He keeps replaying moments in his head, especially the ones where he could have turned back, but didn't. And the scariest part is that he doesn't regret surviving, he regrets how easy it's becoming. This episode also makes it very clear that the Brotherhood is not done with him. Small details, conversations, reactions, the way certain characters speak, all point to one thing. They are hunting him, not just to recover the cold fusion, but to make an example out of him. To prove that betrayal is punished without mercy. And the closer Maximus gets to New Vegas, the closer the Brotherhood gets to him. What's fascinating is how the episode slowly aligns Maximus's path with Lucy and the ghoul. Even before they physically meet, all three are changing in similar ways. Lucy is losing her innocence, the Ghoul is being forced to face old fears, and Maximus is learning what power really costs. They are all becoming survivors, but different kinds. And when survivors collide, things never stay simple. There's also a moment in this episode where Maximus realizes something important. The cold fusion doesn't just make him valuable. It makes him dangerous. Everyone who gets close to him is at risk, and that realization forces him into isolation. He starts pulling away from anyone who could slow him down or expose him. This isn't just strategy. It's fear disguised as control. By the end of this section of the episode, Maximus feels like a loaded weapon walking through the wasteland, unstable, powerful, and surrounded by enemies he can't always see. You start asking yourself the same question the show wants you to ask when Maximus finally reunites with Lucy and the Ghoul. Will he be an ally or another threat they have to survive? Because in the wasteland, good intentions don't matter nearly as much as what you're willing to do next. Just when it feels like all the danger is coming from the wasteland outside. Episode 5 reminds us of something even more terrifying. What happens when power turns inward? The vaults have always pretended to be safe, clean, controlled, but in this episode, the cracks finally start turning into fractures. And once that happens, there is no going back. Stephanie fully steps into control, and this time she doesn't hide it. There is no politeness, no smiles, no pretending this is still a community. She makes one thing clear very quickly: survival belongs to those who obey. By cutting off access to water, she doesn't just threaten their bodies, she attacks their dignity. Water is life inside a vault, and using it as leverage instantly shifts the balance of power. Fear spreads faster than any radiation ever could. What makes Stephanie truly dangerous is not her authority but her calm. She doesn't shout. She doesn't rush. She looks at people like they are already defeated. Every movement, every pause feels calculated. Even when others question her, she doesn't argue, she waits. Because she knows desperation will do the work for her. And watching the vault residents slowly realize that they are trapped with her is one of the most uncomfortable parts of the episode. But episode 5 also plants the seeds of resistance. Chad finally sees what Stephanie really is: not a leader, not a protector, a controller, someone who thrives when others are afraid. And instead of confronting her directly, Chad makes a smarter move. He pulls Woody and Betty away. It's quiet, subtle, almost unnoticeable, but it's the beginning of something dangerous for Stephanie: unity. This is where the vault storyline becomes deeply unsettling. There are no monsters, no gunfights, just people slowly choosing sides. And that choice is heavier than any weapon, because once people stop believing in the system starts collapsing from the inside. You can feel that collapse starting one look at a time. Then there's Norm, and honestly, his situation might be the most unpredictable of all. Norm has always survived through manipulation, through control, through making others think he knows more than he does. But in episode 5, that strategy starts slipping. Ronnie watches him differently now, not with trust, with suspicion. And once someone starts questioning your authority, everything you built becomes fragile. Norm realizes this. You can see the fear behind his confidence. He's no longer the smartest person in the room, he's just someone exposed to the real world without the protection of lies, and that forces him into a corner. Norm has always believed he could talk his way out of anything, but the wasteland doesn't negotiate. It tests. What makes this storyline so powerful is the question it raises: what are you willing to do to stay in control? Norm stands at the edge of a decision that could define him forever. Does he step back and lose power, or does he do something irreversible to keep it? The episode doesn't give us the answer, it just tightens the pressure. By the end of the vault storyline, one thing becomes painfully clear. The vault was never about safety, it was about order, and now that order is breaking slowly, quietly, and when it finally explodes, it won't be because of the wasteland outside. It will be because of the people inside, and that might be the most fallout thing of all. As episode 5 moves toward its final stretch, all paths begin to pull closer together, and the tension becomes impossible to ignore. This is the part of the episode where Fallout stops feeling like separate stories and starts feeling like one inevitable collision. Every character is walking toward the same storm, whether they realize it or not. Back in New Vegas, Lucy and the Ghoul finally get a moment to breathe, but even peace feels unnatural now. The city is alive in a way that almost feels wrong. Lights glowing, music playing, people laughing like the world didn't end. But Lucy doesn't look comforted by it. She looks overstimulated. The Buffout hasn't worn off, and neither has the rush. You can see how easily she fits into this chaos. And that scares the Ghoul more than the Nightclaw ever did. There's a quiet tension between them. The Ghoul is grateful to be alive, but he also sees the cost of that survival written all over Lucy. He tries to slow her down, tries to remind her that recklessness always comes back to collect its debt. But Lucy isn't listening the way she used to. She's tasted power. She's felt what it's like to be unstoppable. And letting go of that feeling might be harder than facing death. Meanwhile, signs of the Brotherhood draw closer. Small details hint at their presence, whispers, movements, the sense that New Vegas is being watched. The Brotherhood doesn't storm in loudly. They never do. They wait. They observe. And when they strike with purpose. Maximus knows this better than anyone. And as he edges closer to the city, the danger multiplies. When Maximus finally reaches the outskirts of New Vegas, the episode slows down again, letting the weight of the moment sink in. This isn't just a location change, this is a turning point. New Vegas isn't neutral ground, it's a prize. Whoever controls it controls influence, resources, and information. And Maximus carrying the cold fusion into this space is like throwing a match into dry grass. What's powerful here is how episode 5 lets us feel Maximus's exhaustion. He's running on survival instincts alone. Trust doesn't come easily anymore. Every shadow looks like a threat, and yet, despite all that fear, he keeps moving forward. Because stopping would mean admitting that everything he's done was for nothing. The episode begins lining up the inevitable meeting. Lucy, the Ghoul, Maximus, three people shaped by the wasteland in different ways, now orbiting the same city. The show doesn't rush this moment. It builds anticipation through silence, through near misses, through the sense that something big is about to break. And then there's the looming threat of confrontation. If the Brotherhood enters New Vegas openly, it won't just be about Maximus anymore. It will become a war of presence, ideology versus survival, order versus freedom. And Lucy, caught in the middle of her transformation, may be forced to choose a side sooner than she's ready for. By the end of this section, episode 5 feels like it's holding its breath. Every storyline is loaded with tension, every character is standing on unstable ground, and the scariest part is knowing that whatever happens next, there is no version of the story where everyone walks away unchanged. Because in Fallout, survival isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning of who you become. Everything in episode 5 feels like it has been building toward one unavoidable truth. The wasteland doesn't care who you used to be. It only cares about who you are willing to become. And by the end of this episode, every major character is standing at the edge of that transformation. Lucy is no longer just reacting to the world around her, she's shaping it. Saving the Ghoul wasn't just an act of loyalty, it was a declaration. She is capable of violence. She is capable of control, and more dangerously, she is starting to understand how powerful that feels. The innocence that once defined her hasn't disappeared completely, but it's buried under layers of adrenaline, addiction, and survival instinct. The episode leaves us with a haunting question. When the Buffout fades, will Lucy still recognize herself? The Ghoul, on the other hand, is forced into a role he never wanted again. The one who watches someone else walk the same dark road he already traveled. His fear of the Nightclaw wasn't just about the monster, it was about memory. About the reminder that no matter how tough you become, the past never stops hunting you. And now, watching Lucy change so quickly, he's faced with something even scarier than death, responsibility. If Lucy becomes something ruthless, will he be the one who helped create it? Maximus's path feels just as unstable. Carrying the cold fusion has turned him into a symbol of betrayal, of power, of rebellion. And symbols don't get to live quiet lives. The Brotherhood is closing in. And Maximus knows that running forever isn't an option. Episode 5 makes it clear that his next move won't just decide his fate, it will decide who controls the future. And the more pressure he feels, the more unpredictable he becomes inside the vaults. The illusion of safety is officially dead. Stephanie's grip on power has created fear, but fear never lasts forever. Resistance is growing, quietly but surely. Chat, Woody, Betty, they represent something dangerous to any tyrant. Unity and Norm, standing on shaky ground, may soon be forced to prove whether he is a survivor or just a manipulator who finally ran out of lies. If he chooses violence to stay in control, there may be no coming back from it. What makes episode 5 so powerful is not the action alone. It's the emotional weight behind every decision. Every character is being pushed into corners where there are no good choices, only necessary ones. And Fallout reminds us once again that the wasteland doesn't reward morality. It rewards adaptability. As we move closer to the next episode, one thing is absolutely clear. New Vegas is no longer just a location, it's a battlefield, a crossroads, where all these broken paths are about to collide. When Lucy, the Ghoul, and Maximus finally stand on the same ground, the balance of power will shift and someone will pay the price for it. Episode 5 doesn't give us comfort, it gives us warning, the kind that sits with you long after the screen goes dark. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think Lucy is turning into? Do you believe Maximus will survive the Brotherhood's hunt? And will the Vault Rebellion explode sooner than we expect? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this deep breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode explained. The wasteland is only getting darker, and we're just getting started. Now let's slow everything down for a moment and talk honestly about what episode 5 is really doing beneath the surface, because beyond the action, beyond the monsters, beyond the power struggles, this episode feels like Fallout making a very clear statement about identity. Not who these characters were built to be, but who the wasteland is forcing them to become. In my opinion, Lucy's arc in this episode is the most important one so far in the entire series. A lot of people might look at her Buffout addiction and see it as a temporary plot device, something that will wear off and reset her character. I don't think that's true at all. What the drug did wasn't just physical. It unlocked something that was already inside her. The willingness to act without hesitation, the ability to choose survival over morality. And once someone feels that kind of power, it never fully disappears. Even if Lucy stops using Buffout, the memory of who she was in that moment will stay with her. That's why saving the Ghoul matters so much. It wasn't a heroic moment in the traditional sense. It was a choice made without fear, and that's dangerous. Because fear is often the last thing keeping people human in the wasteland. If Lucy continues down this path, she may survive longer than most, but at the cost of becoming someone unrecognizable, and honestly, that's what makes her so compelling right now. She's not falling. She's evolving, and evolution in Fallout is never clean. The Ghoul, for me, represents the future Lucy might be heading toward. He's not evil, he's not heartless, but he's hardened in a way that can never be undone. Episode 5 subtly positions him as both protector and warning. He understands what it means to lose yourself piece by piece until survival is all that's left, and watching him try to guide Lucy while knowing he failed himself is quietly tragic. I don't think he's scared of Lucy becoming stronger, I think he's scared of her becoming him. Maximus, on the other hand, feels like the most unstable element in the story right now. And that's saying something in a world like Fallout. In my opinion, Maximus is no longer driven by belief, he's driven by momentum. Every bad decision pushes him into another one, and now he's moving too fast to stop and reflect. Carrying the cold fusion has turned him into a walking conflict. Everyone wants him. Everyone fears him, and that kind of pressure creates explosions. What worries me most about Maximus is that he hasn't fully accepted the consequences of his actions yet. He knows people will die because of the cold fusion, but he still believes the end might justify the means. That mindset is exactly how tyrants are born in the wasteland. If the Brotherhood corners him, I don't think he'll surrender. I think he'll make a decision that changes everything, and not in a good way. Inside the vaults, the situation feels like a mirror of the outside world. Different walls, same brutality. Stephanie's control through water is one of the most realistic and disturbing power moves we've seen so far. It proves that Fallout doesn't need radiation or monsters to be horrifying. Human desperation is enough, and once people realize the system was never built to protect them, only to control them, rebellion becomes inevitable. Norm is the wild card here. Personally, I think episode 5 is setting him up for a moral collapse. He's used manipulation as a survival tool for too long, and now it's failing him. If he chooses violence to regain control, he may survive, but he'll lose the one thing he still has, the belief that he's smarter, not crueler, than everyone else. Overall, episode 5 feels like the calm before multiple storms, not loud, not flashy, just heavy with consequence. It's an episode about thresholds, and once crossed, there's no turning back. That's why, in my opinion, Fallout is at its strongest right now. It's no longer asking who will survive, it's asking what survival will cost and who will be willing to pay it. Episode 5 leaves us standing on the edge of chaos, staring into a wasteland that feels more unpredictable than ever. And here's the thing, this isn't just about monsters, villains, or vaults anymore. It's about the people, the choices they make, the lines they cross, and the moments that define them forever. Watching Lucy, the Ghoul, Maximus, and everyone in the vault navigate these impossible situations is thrilling. But it's also terrifying because the show doesn't give you comfort. It gives you truth, brutal, raw, inescapable truth. Lucy's evolution continues to be the heartbeat of this episode. I can't stress enough how significant her arc has become. She isn't just surviving anymore. She's adapting, and in a world as unforgiving as Fallout, adaptation isn't neutral. It reshapes you. When she steps up to save the Ghoul, she is acting out of loyalty, yes, but also because she's embracing power in a way that scares the people around her, and maybe even herself. That combination of fearlessness and recklessness is intoxicating. and dangerous, the Buffout may fade, but the Lucy we saw in this episode is here to stay. In some form, forever. She has begun to define the rules of survival on her own terms, the Ghoul. For all his wisdom and experience, is forced into a position he never wanted again, watching someone else take risks. He knows all too well, he understands what it means to become hardened by necessity, and now he sees it in Lucy. That tension, that quiet dread, is what makes their partnership so compelling. Survival is no longer enough now, it's about control, influence, and the cost of choices. And the Ghoul is painfully aware that what Lucy is learning now may outpace him entirely. Maximus is the wild card, and episode 5 makes that very clear. The cold fusion isn't just a weapon, it's a catalyst. Every move he makes, every choice he considers, carries enormous consequences. The Brotherhood is hunting him. The wasteland is unpredictable, and yet he pushes forward. That tension, the constant pressure on him, is what makes him so electrifying to watch. He's powerful, intelligent, and terrified, a combination that always leads to volatility. When he finally crosses paths with Lucy and the Ghoul, I expect the collision to be explosive. Not just in action, but in the emotional stakes of trust, power, and survival. Meanwhile, the Vault storyline quietly simmers with its own kind of tension. Stephanie's authoritarian grip is terrifyingly effective. The way she manipulates fear, using something as simple as water, is a stark reminder that human cruelty can rival any mutant or radiation hazard. Chat, Woody, and Betty represent hope, resistance, and cunning, the sparks of rebellion. Norm, meanwhile, stands at a precipice. His manipulation and deceit are failing him, and the moment he decides how far he's willing to go to survive will be pivotal. The Vault's tension mirrors the outside world perfectly. The same lesson is clear everywhere. Survival comes with a price, and morality is often the first to be sacrificed. Episode 5, in my opinion, succeeds because it balances spectacle with introspection. The Nightclaw fight, the chaos of New Vegas, the looming threat of the Brotherhood, all of it is thrilling. But the quiet moments, Lucy reflecting on her choices, the Ghoul wrestling with his fear, Maximus strategizing under pressure, the Vault residents grappling with control and rebellion, that's where the episode truly lands. It's suspenseful, yes, but it's also thoughtful, showing us what Fallout has always been best at. Survival is not just about staying alive. It's about who you are when you do. By the end, the episode leaves you unsettled, excited, and emotional all at once. We are witnessing characters at turning points, on the edge of irreversible decisions. And as the credits roll, you can't help but ask yourself, if you were in their shoes, would you survive? And if you did, what would you become in the process? That's the brilliance of episode 5. It's not just telling a story, it's holding up a mirror to the choices we would make when pushed to the edge. So now I want to hear from you. What do you think will happen when Lucy, Maximus, and the Ghoul finally meet in New Vegas? How far will Lucy go in embracing this new version of herself? And what shocking moves will Norm or the Vault residents take next? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And I want to know your predictions. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay on top of every twist in Fallout, make sure to like the video, subscribe to Teleboss 2, and turn on notifications. The wasteland is getting darker, the stakes higher, and trust me, you don't want to miss a single second of what comes next. Because in Fallout, survival is only the beginning. It's what you become afterward that defines you.